No problem.
All right, everyone, welcome to our mobility and flexibility class. This is week 4, so we're halfway through, I believe. We started back up and I was up at altitude. So back in Mammoth. So we'll go ahead and start from the chair, then work on some standing balance and stretches while we're on our feet. And then we'll spend some time on the floor because I feel like that's the area we haven't done too much with this class lately. So towards the end, I have my clock up here. Once we hit like 9:40, 45, I want to make sure that at least we're on the floor working on some stuff. Okay, so let me just put my little yoga setting tracker on my watch because I like to see how much I actually spent stretching at the end of the month. So let's go ahead and we are here. So let's just go ahead and start with looking left to right. Yeah, so I'll show you folks a couple of the stretches that I'm doing right now to loosen up my calves and my anterior tibialis, some of the little muscles that wrap around the foot. We'll do some of those when we're on the floor. And if you do yoga, some of these stretches you'll be familiar with. So up and down. Make sure you're breathing gently. Right here, our shoulders are fixed, and all we are moving is our head up and down. And then before I forget, does anyone typically eat at Panda Express by chance? If you want to give me a little thumbs up emoji. I know it's kind of a random question, but I'm bringing it up. Let's do it next circles. All right, Teresa. I see Teresa has a thumb up. Tomorrow evening, well, tomorrow, just throughout the day, we have, I see Debbie too. Our team has a fundraiser, and it's through online orders, and you just use kind of like a code, and I think out of your purchase, 30% of the proceeds go back to the team. So this is for tomorrow, for it could be for delivery or for pickup. But I believe it has to be done through a link, which I could share with you. Um, and yeah, it's just easy enough. You just order and then put in the code and yeah, and it's nationwide, which is nice. So
What's the
switch
name of the place?
Panda Express.
Oh, yes.
Yep. So yeah, and that's one of the fast food restaurants that if I have to eat out on the road, that's probably one of the ones that let's look left and turn and push to our right. So look
Is that
left
today? Is that today,
for
Julian?
for tomorrow.
Tomorrow.
Yeah, the fundraiser date it's for tomorrow. So usually what I'll go there because they have pretty healthy options. So I'll go and they have your chow mein, your fried rice, but they also have green veggies and they also have white rice. So I usually get like, most people or most of my team when we go turn right, they'll get half and half of the chow mein and the fried rice. But I encourage them to get the white rice and the greens or just the greens alone. So yeah, and then as your protein, I usually get the chicken teriyaki. And that's pretty lean too. So yeah, so between those three items, if I'm on the road, I don't feel too guilty. Let's go ahead and sit on our left hand, bring that right hand over. And if you ever been to like Flame Broiler or like Waba Grill, they usually get like a small portion, and I feel like if you go to Panda Express, you might get a little bit more bang for your buck. But just in case, I mean, and of course they have the other awesome flavors that I'll have every once in a while, but not too often. They have the orange chicken, the beef broccoli. That's another good option there, beef broccoli. An option that I like that's really not healthy for you from there, it's the honey walnut shrimp. I like it, but it's has a lot of sugar and it's pretty fatty, and it's also deep fried. So you could tell why I like it.
Is that any Panda Express we can go to?
Yeah,
With the code?
and any Panda Express in the entire country, yeah, nationwide. So
Julio, is there like a QR code to donate to your team?
yeah, I could send you the link as well. Yeah. So if you'd rather just donate to the team, I have the link for that. But yeah, I'll share that. Maybe
Please email us both the code and
okay,
the link.
will
Thank
do.
you.
Thank you. Yeah. This is our last fundraiser, I promise. At least for like the next 8 or 9 months, because I know I feel like I've been bringing it up, but trying to give these kids a college experience when it comes to travel and competition. So they really enjoyed the Fresno trip, and yeah, they got some nice rooms and enjoyed themselves. We went to and yeah, with them, I try to make the most out of our funds. So for dinner, there's an option, and usually before races, I'll take the team. So again, if you're following along, sorry, we're bringing that right arm across and just stretching the shoulder and the back a little bit. But for dinner, it's silly. I don't think the district has upgraded the budget, but when we get funds from the school, the Twitch, I think the allocated dollars for lunch was $7, and I think for dinner it was 12. But I've been working there since 2013, and I don't think those numbers have been updated. So that's why we have to fundraise. You can't get anything for $7 now. You go to Chick-fil-A and get a combo, and that's $15. So yeah, so we used to go to like Olive Garden and eat the night before a race, but this time I found I don't know if you've heard of the Old Spaghetti Factory. Let's bring the arm back. I don't think there's too many locations, but I know there's some. Um so so again back here, and we're gonna push down on that elbow. So instead of going out to the restaurant and ordering a $30 meal for everyone, I just did catering for our team, and luckily the hotel was nice enough to let us eat on their lobby. So we just had a buffet style like pasta feast at the lobby at the I think it was at the Hill no, where we say at the Marriott? Some I forget. It's one of those branches hotels for like the Hilton or the Marriott, maybe a DoubleTree. But yeah, so instead of paying $30 per athlete, it came out to about 18. And I think they got more food than at the restaurant too. So come back here. No races this weekend, so it's be kind of nice to just relax a little bit. Working on our shoulders. Let's do our snow angels. Sorry. I think we have some new folks in the class today, so welcome everyone that's new. Georgina, welcome. Does anyone have any trips. I know winter and December and winter break is about 3 months away, 4 months away. But does anyone have any plans for that? 3 months away, going anywhere? Let's do one arm at a time. So up and down.
I'm planning a visit to New Jersey, the eastern side of the United States.
Oh, there you go. You're gonna go see Ella
Right.
perform. She'll probably have a concert up there while you're.
No business.
Okay, cool. New Jersey family.
No, used to be,
Oh,
not
okay.
anymore.
Let's switch.
Dealing with property.
Oh, okay. Ella, where's your tour at this time around? Where are we going?
Well, I'm in Florida right now,
Okay. Everyone.
West Florida.
South Florida, near Fort Lauderdale, visiting
Nice.
family, not singing. Yeah.
Not singing. Okay, here we go. All right, we're gonna do the Arnold shoulder press. So here, come out and then press. Yeah, I don't have any plans yet, but I know I'm definitely gonna be doing something. So I don't know what it is, but I'll get out of here for a little bit, in a few days at least. So we shall see. I don't know if maybe a trip up to Washington, my sister, or maybe to Missouri, where my friend just moved to. I don't think I'll end up in Rhode Island in December. I don't think that's the smartest thing to do. So
Julio,
maybe
have you used PCH one to go the way?
which one?
Washington?
Have I gone to Washington
one.
through PCH?
Uh-huh. Have you
No.
used any part of?
No, so let's go down here. So on PCH, I've only been from, from here until Santa Cruz. And then, but that's the furthest I've gone on PCH. I mean, I've seen little strips of it, out there by Northern California, right before the Oregon border when we had competitions up there. But I hear the coastline between San Francisco and the Oregon border is beautiful. And I hear the same for the Oregon coastline too. But no, whenever I've gone to Washington, it's usually we just want to get there if we're driving as fast as we can. So we're just going on the 5 freeway. And that's a pretty ride. After Redding, Mount after you see Mount Shasta, it's beautiful out there. But I once did one to Eugene, Oregon. I went from here to Mammoth to Lake Tahoe, and then I cut over on the eastern, yeah, on the eastern side of Oregon, and then just on some back roads. But yeah, some very desolate, lonely roads and towns that you don't want to break down because there's no gas stations or tow trucks around for a while. So all right, so let's go ahead and do opposite shoulder taps. We're gonna get on our feet pretty soon and then transition with the remainder of our chairs. Are you planning on doing a trip like that, Carmen? Up PCH?
No, but I wondered how is they had some problems with mudslides and things. I don't know
Yeah. So
if
Big
they
Sur,
fixed
I
them.
know Big Sur is still closed. I just saw an article yesterday that it's probably going to continue being closed between just north of Cambria to maybe another like few miles over. And it's not like it's the huge part of the road is gone. It's just a mudslide covered a strip, but it's a lot of dirt that they have to move. But I think I saw an article said that it might be ready by January of this next year. But most people are saying maybe summer or fall of next year because it's already been
Mm.
closed since January of 2023. So
Mm.
yeah,
I have gone through most of it at least
right here.
twice, and I love it, but
Yeah,
know,
it's beautiful. If you're afraid of heights, I you might want to keep your eyes closed sometimes on that road, but it's really pretty. Yeah,
Mm.
that's where I proposed to my wife was on along that road. So yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. So I wanted a good excuse to go back to that area, so I think I found the best one. So
Mm.
yeah.
Nice.
I could always, when Julian's a little older, hey, you want to go to where I proposed to your mom? And they'd be like, sure, Dad. And I guess let's go to Bixby. So, all right. Let's do our door opener. So elbow in. Yeah. I know there's the train. Is it the Amtrak? That there's a coastal route that they take. Um, I just know that me being a college student, I missed a few camping trips that my friends took on the northern coastline after San Francisco. And I wasn't into camping back then. I wish I was, but I just remember them having an awesome time out there. So, but I know if you're trying to go to Washington through the PCH instead of the Highway 5, you're probably going to be adding somewhere between 8 to 12 hours to your drive. Switch. We're gonna get on our feet right now. So let's go ahead and do some of our balance stretches. Okay, so we'll probably be on our feet for a little bit. So if you do need a break, feel free to have a seat. But let's go ahead. Feet are together. Or just right here. And then just try to feel if your ankles are shaking, any little sensations. If this is difficult for you to just stand here without much, with a lot of movement, then we got some work to do. But yeah. So, anyways, let's look left to right slowly. Up and down. All right, close your eyes. So again, if you feel unsafe, open your eyes and separate your feet so we don't fall. Again, just be mindful of how your ankles are feeling. Open your eyes. Very good. All right, we're gonna walk the tightrope. So find the longest stretch in your space. Okay, so let it be a hallway or from one corner of the room to the next. So again, just walking the tightrope, so one foot in front of the other. And then reverse. So yeah, so tomorrow, remember, if you're able to, save your time from cooking and just order some Panda Express. That's what I'm gonna do for the family too. I like that it's nationwide because sometimes it's just one location. And well, yeah, if you have relatives far away, it's hard to get them around, but that nationwide one. So yeah, in case anyone, if you have any groups or anything like that that wants to do a fundraiser, that's a good one. We were debating between Panda Express and Chipotle, but Chipotle is just the one specific location. So, all right, we're gonna be doing a little bit of leg work. So we're gonna do standing hip abductions. So some balance work and also some leg work on our lateral side. So feet are pointing at the screen, and we're gonna lift that leg. Make sure those toes are still pointing at the screen, and try to keep your torso as upright as possible. You don't want to lean too much. You don't want to do that too much of that. So just stay as upright. And let's do about 8. And the slower you do it, the better. That's 1. And switch. 6, 7, and 8. Very good. All right, let's do our tandem stance. So right foot in front of our left. So changing the base of our feet here. All right, we're gonna look up and down. Up. So this morning, Julian asked me, he wanted to confirm how old he was, and I told him he was 3. And then he was telling me that he's getting taller and that he's gonna get taller than me soon. And when he gets taller than me, that he's gonna be my daddy. That's what I told. So I don't know. I don't know if he knows, but he thinks it's a height thing.
No, that
That's
don't
right.
work. That don't work. You tell them I don't care how tall you get. My kids all pass me up. That don't work, and they know it.
Yeah. He was like, Daddy, you are gonna be so much more smaller than me, and then I'll be your daddy. It made me laugh. I was like, that's not how it works, Julie.
When he moves out.
Yeah, exactly. Then take over the bills then, buddy. All right, so right here, let's play it safe. So if you feel like you're gonna tip over, open your eyes, separate your feet. But if you're fine here, if you want to close your eyes, your ankles will probably start shaking. There we go. Open your eyes. Very good. All right, we're gonna do a couple more balance movements before we finish the last few stretches on our feet. Okay, so actually, before we do that, give our feet a little bit of rest because our feet are trying to not fail us, so they're working pretty hard. So let's just go to the shoulder stretches. We'll come back to the balance work in a little bit. So if you could grab a pole, a foam roller, anything, this length, that would work. Grab a little bit of water if you're thirsty. All right. So working on our shoulders. Okay. So we're here, just left to right, gentle. I'm gonna focus on that left shoulder. Ready? 3, 2, 1. Left shoulder. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. All right, 30 degrees forward. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. 60 degrees. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. All right, straight in front of you. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. All right, towards the back. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Very good. All right, just relax a little bit. We're gonna work on that right shoulder now, okay? So hopefully, again, our hand that's on the bottom position is pushing, and the hand up top is just being guided, okay, by the foam roller in my hand. So this hand that's gonna be active right now is not doing much work. Ready? Okay, go. So it's just being pushed, getting the stretch. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. We did 2 extra ones there. So let's go 30 degrees. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 60 degrees. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 90 right in front of you. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, towards the back. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, so now we're going behind the back here. Okay, behind the back and then up and down. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. All right, last one. We're lifting back. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. Very good. We could put this away. We're just gonna finish off with our standing balance exercises. So we did right foot in front of our left. Now let's go left foot in front of our right. So mindful over here. Just be mindful of how your ankles react to this position. Let's look up and down. Up left to right. Close your eyes. Again, make sure if you don't feel safe, open your eyes and separate your feet. You don't want to fall. Open your eyes. Very good. Okay. Let's go ahead and get on our chair. We do have some. We might do a couple more standing, but we do want to get through these floor ones or these chair ones. Okay. So let's go with our piriform or hip openers. So stand or sit near the front of your chair. Okay, and then the right leg comes out. That left leg stays pointing forward. And you're gonna notice that our leg typically wants to curve in. So put our hand there to prevent that from happening and just have that stretch going for about 20 to 30 seconds. So, yes, remember this class does go until maybe like October 7th, October 12th, somewhere along that line. I think it ends like the week of October 10th. So if you're not enrolled in my other two classes that begin the following week after that, then you won't have access to these classes. So make sure that you are enrolled. Let's switch. And unfortunately, on my end, I think all that paperwork that was done for me to enroll the folks, I think that window has passed. So you might have to enroll yourself if you're not enrolled in those classes yet. Um, and yeah, as far as like Canvas and support and enrollment and how long admissions and record takes to finalize enrollment, that's out of my reach too. So I know a couple people have reached out to ask about confirmations of enrollment. I could check if you're in my class, but I just can't speed up that process. Um, so yeah, so just look for emails. Sometimes it might go to your junk mail or your spam. Hopefully that gets resolved if you're dealing with that. All right, let's switch. So now let's go with our right ankle on that left knee. Let's push down on that knee gently. All right, bring that knee and hold it. Pull back. Should feel that stretch here. So we do this piriformis stretch to hopefully prevent or avoid tightness around the sciatic nerve, which could cause some very uncomfortable pain in your back. Switch. Left ankle on that right knee.
So I came back home on Sunday from the wedding, and I stopped by with my wife at Porto's in Bueno Park. Um, Food is great, but parking there is terrible. And yeah, it was just I think I was reminded why I don't go there often. It's just pretty crowded and busy, especially on a Sunday afternoon. But yeah, but pretty tasty food. So but yeah, we could have skipped on it because we came home and my mom had fresh pupusas. And let's push down on that knee. And so I've been eating pupusas for the last 4 days. So gonna have that in a little bit right now too. Let's bring that knee up. Hard to lose weight at this house sometimes.
What is in the pupusa?
Oh, the ones she always makes are revueltas, which is I think it has like a marinated pork and cheese.
Oh.
So yeah, it's like almost if I could like almost as a little bit thicker than like a handmade tortilla, but they're stuffed with the meat and the cheese. Um, and yeah, and then she makes this like pickled cabbage that you use as like almost like a slaw on top of it, and then she makes this salsa as well. So yeah, I've been eating a lot of that.
Do they make vegetarian pupusas?
What's that?
Are there any vegetarian pupusas?
Yeah, I know I've seen some they make them with beans. I think I've seen some. Usually the revueltas ones will have beans too. Um, let's go ahead and recline back. Bring that knee up and then extend that lower leg. So yeah, and then there's the cheese, and then there's one where they do with this I forgot what the plant is called or the leaf. I think it's called loroco. I couldn't tell you exactly what it is, but it's an edible leaf.
Green.
Yeah, so I know they make those. Um and then I was just scrolling through social media and someone was making them with like these sardines, which I completely disagree. I think someone was just trying some crazy experiment, but um I would not try that. But yeah,
Bean
but
and cheese is good.
what's that?
Bean and cheese is fine.
Yeah, so I know sometimes if she has the beans ready, she'll make some of those for like the kids. So and then yeah, the cheese ones just come out like cheesy tortillas. Like
Quesadillas.
yeah, it might as well be a quesadilla. They're so good.
会吧？想，陈永最，陈与姑姑从没做过这个幸福的事情。
So
这
just
小
keep
当大的不喜
going.
人物，若没实证，怎会妄言？
Let me see. Then let's go with that right leg in, out. We're gonna do our ankle, our ABCs, and then we'll transition to the floor after this. So we could do our floor stretches. Yeah, so to offset, the pupusas, because again it has cheese and it has pork and so to make them a little well, not to make those pupusas healthier, but to make my plate healthier, um, there's always grilled chicken in our refrigerator. So I just thinly cut um, a chicken breast and then I just use that as like a little side for the pupusas. So yeah, so then I don't feel too guilty because I'm getting my protein in there with the grilled chicken. So still yummy, but a little healthier.
Our last one, before we go on the floor, I don't know why I stood up. Just elevate your heel and do your ABCs. So just trace the letters of the alphabet. Switch. Very good. All right, let's set up our yoga mat. So we'll finish off the remainder of this class with floor stretches. So if you want to set up your yoga mat, have that ready on the floor, grab a little bit of water. We could spend some time. I know we haven't done many of our floor stretches. A minute. All right. So for this one, we're going to be laying belly down. Reach your hands out in front of you, and then your toes extend them behind you. Head down, and then just reach and push. Push with your toes, reach with your hands. Very good. Right, let's rest on your elbows. So just tuck your elbows right under your shoulders. Just resting here. All right, now we're going to place our hands where our elbows are. And then just over stretch, just look up. Have those hands under your shoulders, right straight down. Right here on one solid move, let's bring your glutes to your heels. So keep your hands where they are. Glutes to your heels. Keep those arms stretched in front of you. Okay, from here, just reset. So your hands are right below your shoulders. Hands are right below your shoulders. We're gonna do the cat-cow. So knees right below your hips, hands right below your shoulders. You're gonna inhale and arch up. So inhale, arch up.
Exhale, arch down. Repeat. Up, down. Up. Up. More. Up. Very good. Okay, from here, you're going to shift your hands to your left side. So your knees don't move, but your hands do and your torso does. Over here, arch up. Bring your glutes back to your heels and hold that stretch for about 20 to 30 seconds. Switch. So switch sides and just shift your hands off to the right side now. You're gonna arch up. Bring your glutes to your heels. Reset. Come back. All right. So the couple stretches that I've been doing to kind of relax the muscles around my arches, my feet, my calves, and my anterior tibialis, which is that front part of my shin, is I'm gonna sit in this position or I'm gonna kneel. But you can see, I don't know if you can see from there, but I don't have my toes pointing behind me. I have my toes under my feet, if that makes sense. Okay, so then from there, so my toes are almost curved. If this is uncomfortable, you could avoid this one and just have your toes back. But by having your toes pointing down and forward, if we sit on your feet, that's really going to stretch out, the little muscles and tendons of your arches and your feet. We're just going to hold it for about 20 seconds. This used to be super uncomfortable for me a couple years ago. I couldn't do this without any pain, so I wouldn't be surprised if any of you have that sensation right now. But I've been doing this for a little bit, so managing. I just kneel back up, relax my toes. Okay, so now my toes are more relaxed. The bottom or the top part of my toes are now resting on the floor. Okay, and then now I'm just gonna bring and sit back on my heels, and that's just gonna open up the top part or that angle of your foot and your shin. So stretching out the top part of your foot and the anterior part of your lower. And I could feel my left side being a little bit more loose than my right. Okay. All right, I'm gonna continue here. So we're kneeling. Okay, we're gonna kneel here. I'm gonna bring my right leg up to my side. Okay, so toes are pointing up towards the ceiling. And then I'm just gonna lean forward. I'm gonna use my hands for support. You should feel a gentle stretch going down the inside part of your thigh. Okay. Upright. And now I want you to keep your leg where it is. Turn your torso towards it and lean towards that leg. You could bring your arm over, and if you want, that's going to give you a little bit more of a back stretch too. Let's go to the other side. Here, kneel. Left leg comes off to the side. Then gentle lean forward. Okay, come upright. Turn to your left and lean towards that leg. Back. Set. Right. So the last stretch we're gonna do, it's going to be our book openers. Okay, so we're gonna get on our side. Here we're gonna tuck in. So you're laying on your side. Tuck in your knees a little bit. I'm resting on my left side, so my left hand is extended. My right hand is gonna sit on that. And with my eyes and my head, I'm gonna follow my right hand as I'm bringing it up, over, and behind me. So you see my legs don't move. It's only my arm, my eyes that are doing the motion right now. So we're gonna do 8 of these. So again, this is a slow movement. Halfway there. Have 2 more on this side. You're pretty flexible. You might be able to touch the floor behind you. Very good. When you're ready, you could roll over by the other side. Okay. So again, just 8 of these. Here's my last one. we might as well just take advantage that we're in this position right now. You know me, I like adding stuff at the end. We'll do a little bit of work for our back. So this shouldn't be too taxing. So just get in this position, like a sit-up position. And all we're gonna do is just drop your knees left, right. Okay, so let's just do 5 of these drops on each side. So again, my arms are off to the side. I got my last one. Very good. Alrighty, folks. Oof. How's everyone feeling? A little bit loose, more relaxed, not as tight. How are we doing?
Good
Okay.
stretch.
Good, good.
Good.
Good,
All right, folks, that's what I like to hear. So, Monday, I'll be celebrating with you folks my anniversary on Monday. So, yeah, I'll see you guys then. So hopefully you guys enjoy a nice
Okay.
weekend.
No cake? What is the cake on Monday?
The cake.
good.
I know, right? Do people do that? Cakes for anniversaries? See? Yeah, I didn't think so.
Yeah,
I guess
Dinner
roses.
outing.
So,
have some.
all right, folks. Well, enjoy your weekend and enjoy the cooler weather. So hopefully it keeps up. I'm seeing a breeze, so I'm hoping
Yeah.
we start seeing
Getting
fall
better.
kick in a little bit. So, all right, everyone, take care.
Julio.
We'll
Thank you
see you
very
next
much.
week.
Oh, send the
Thank
link.
you.
I
Happy
will.
birthday.
Yeah,
Send the link.
Send the link, Julio.
I will. Thank you.
Thank
you.
Julio.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Oh,
Thank you,
bye,
Julio.
bye. There's so
You
many
can keep
byes.
talking, right?
Bye.